Hello and welcome to episode 10 of No Holds Barred Pod. Double digits. That's Sal.
Hiya.
Hi, I'm Don. Together we're going to take a weekly look at all things political, social, and anything else we can think of. No Holds Barred. So yeah, we're into yeah. Our special guest today is a
30 degrees heat. That's just what you want on your knee.
A feline political commentator.
Yeah,
that's better. So we're in 10 episodes in now. This is quite exciting.
I know.
Not including bonus apps. So double digit figures is very cool.
Well, we're doing a double Friday Fandango today, aren't we?
Yeah, we probably will at some point. Thanks to everyone who's been watching and listening. We've got sort of lots of hours and views on YouTube. And lots of hours on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, though. Yeah, subscribe. That's the main thing on YouTube. Give us some. Don't forget to subscribe because then you won't miss anything that we talk about. And we're ramping stuff up again, which we'll talk about shortly. We've got some ideas bubbling, haven't we? So yeah,
we have some excellent ideas.
So yeah. Hit the subscribe button and you won't miss out on our exciting plans coming up.
Yes,
right.
Very, very exciting.
We have got a special guest today, or we did have, but we've had some technical issues. I managed to grab a few minutes with Gary Trowsdale earlier, which I'll edit in later on in the podcast. We'll talk about a few bits and bobs, and we'll hopefully get Gary back for a proper in-depth chat because he's really keen and he's a very interesting guy to talk to. So yeah,
it would be nice to meet him if the technology allows.
Yeah, we had some massive tech fails across the board, pretty much. But we'll get Gary back on. We'll put the clip in later, and we'll get Gary back on for a full chat with Sal and me, and get stuck into that at a later date. But yeah, so let's crack on, I think. Go on.
Sorry, just while we're talking about special guests, can we announce next week's incredibly special guest, please? Because I'm very excited to talk to him.
Yes. Riot, is it Riot Grandma on Twitter?
Yeah.
Carol. Yeah.
Carol Hedges.
Carol is going to be our guest next week, and she got in touch with us to ask if we talk about the assisted dying bill, and she's got some skin in that game, unfortunately. So we said, I asked her if she'd like to come on and have a chat, and she's up for it. So next week it'll be brilliant. We'll get to chat to Carol properly next week. So
she's a fabulous renegade.
Yes, she really is. She's an awesome character, and I'm really looking forward to meeting her in person. Well, / over the video, but yeah, because you've met her before, haven't you, Sal? Yeah. In real life?
Briefly, I went and introduced myself to her at I think it was last year's Brexit March, but it was only quite brief. Yeah. So, cool. It'd be nice to, obviously we interact on Twitter a lot.
Yeah, it'd be great to have her on and definitely, and have a proper chat to her next week. So that'd be awesome. Tune in, don't forget, subscribe and you won't miss it.
Yeah.
So let's get on with our usual exciting roundup of PMQ, shall we? Sal's PMQs roundup.
I rattled through it. I mean, I was stuck on the train at the time I watched it on the 2-hour delay, like 28 degrees of heat. So it might be a bit more cantankerous than usual. Just saying something. Obviously, Starmer wasn't there because he's at G6.5.
Yeah.
So Angela Rayner did it. Yeah, so much to say and so much to just, we all know the deal, don't we? She, just the hypocrisy boils my ears. She started out paying tribute to Joe Cox and David Amis, and noting the Windrush anniversary. All things that politicians have done absolutely nothing to correct or make better or stop happening in the future. They've just fed into what happened in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Adrian Ramsey had the first question. Was asking about how the government were going to de-escalate things between Israel and Iran. Will MPs get a free vote on any further UK military assistance offered?
Let's see. I wonder.
What do you think? Do you think she said yeah?
My guess
Because
is
she didn't. She didn't.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
not
not
what she
surprised.
said. Because that would be a straight answer apart from anything.
Yeah.
What she said was, all the decisions they take are gauged based on the safety of British residents, or something like that, of the British people. So genocide abroad is fine as long as it doesn't affect us. Is the general message.
Yeah, that's the gist. Yeah.
We're not doing like international law or any of that business. It's just how safe the British people are. So.
Yeah, the international law thing went out the window with Boris Johnson, didn't it? So they don't need to bother with that anymore.
Chris Philp,
sorry,
the man who can never be slapped enough.
I shouldn't laugh.
He stood up and talked about the rape gangs. After 14 years of him and his cult of psychopaths doing sod all apart from use it as a race baiting exercise.
Yeah.
Jail them all.
Yeah.
I actually just wrote, I'm not sure there's much point to any of this. Raina just gave the average response and she wasted the opportunity to bury him. She could have absolutely buried him quite easy, quite simply, and without any aggression. And she did not. She played that game of let's pretend the sky's fucking pink.
Yeah, it's a really odd decision.
Daisy Cooper asked about the benefit cuts. Yeah, I don't know what she actually replied to that because I just put traitor says, and then she's an ableist turncoat twat. So I don't think she gave a favourable answer to the benefit cuts.
Is this when your train was going backwards?
No, it was when it was stuck the wrong side of bloody Nottingham.
Yeah.
The SNP asked if they were going to give a free vote over the benefit cuts, which Starmer originally said he was going to do, and has now changed his mind again. And she basically ignored the question completely and started talking about fixing austerity. What, by reintroducing it, really?
Yeah.
That's a wanker. Edward Lee, God, the father of the house, asked if we could. Genuinely asked if we could give more support to Israel, but only if the settlers stop taking other people's houses.
Yeah, that's realistic, sure. Jesus.
Raina agreed with him and started wanging on about hostages being returned. What, the ones that Israel had bombed all of? If any of them were still, the ones that Israel killed before Hamas actually removed them from the 7th of the October scene because they rolled out the Hannibal Protocol that everybody who knows about it, that everyone who's in on it knows about, and they're still. It blows my brain.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
There was some talk about Grenfell and Hillsborough, and I briefly saw something that the Hillsborough support group, or one of the affiliated groups, tweeted this week about how the Hillsborough bill that they are allegedly putting through has been so watered down as to almost be pointless.
Really?
So, yeah. And at the end of all that, I was incredibly fed up until Adam Thompson MP stood up with some of the best words I've ever seen spoken in recent times. So if you want to throw that in here, that'd be marvellous.
Yes, roll the clip.
Adam Thompson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a trained physics teacher and a former engineering lecturer, can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister what this government is doing to help people improve their maths skills after they have left school? I came across an awful case the other day. A 61-year-old man who believed he'd counted up 7 billion of government spending when there was really only 27 million. What can we do for people like the leader of Reform UK, who evidently can't add up?
So that cheered us all up.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Like, it's a very rare moment when you get a decent joke in the House of Commons, isn't it? So
I mean, a very dry man. I very much appreciate his humour.
it was good.
Yeah, that was all. Crikey, that was all the PMQs for my money anyway. It's just we rattle through it because it can be pertinent to what's going on in the news. And if you want to find out more, please go and Google whatever I've spoken about because I'm just giving you the bare bones.
Yeah.
Because as much as it's ridiculous, we have to just keep on. We have to keep witnessing what they're doing and saying. Because occasionally they do and say something that can be of note.
Relevant, yeah. Very occasionally,
often
though.
they don't even realise they're saying or doing it at the time. So.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
fair,
So that's that. What else are we talking about? World War III.
World War III again. World War III and a half. I sort of put that down at the bottom in my notes this week in my funnies section about Taco Trump.
Hilarious.
Well, it's now become 2 week Taco Trump because everything's in 2 weeks. The tariffs are 2 weeks. TikTok's 2 weeks. He's going to bomb Iran in 2 weeks. Everything's 2 weeks, and nothing ever happens with him.
I don't know about 2 weeks, but it's definitely 2 bloody feet. Yeah. One in Russia, one in Israel, and they're both. Yeah. So, and then you got all the American people underneath who despise him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where's Donny going to go with this one?
He's such a weird, strange guy, and he's
a psychopath. He's an unhinged psychopath.
It feels like he's losing.
George will never be spoken of again.
Yeah, well, it feels like he's losing his grip on reality a little bit, and
completely.
I watched a clip of Jon Stewart Daily Show. Well, it wasn't Jon Stewart actually; it was Jordan Klepper on the Daily Show, and he put together a sort of montage of Trump because why he had to leave the G7 was because he said it was to do with Iran. And he was going to the Situation Room and plan. What actually happened was he went to the White House and put 2 80-foot poles on the lawn of the White House, and then did a press conference about the 2 flagpoles. That's what he left the G7 for in reality. And he stood on the lawn of the White House yesterday or the day before with these 2 80-foot flagpoles and went on and on about how they're the best flagpoles in the world because they're tapered. They look amazing. Flagpoles, this is, bear in mind.
So when you say left the G7, what you mean is ran away to avoid accountability?
Yeah, exactly what he did, yeah. His excuse was Iran, but his real reason was because, he was scared and he didn't want to face up to it. And so he put some flagpoles up yesterday. I'll put a link into this video because it highlights actually how his train of thought has gone. He's always been scatterbrained, hasn't he? I mean, he's always been all over the shop, but now he's just kind of like random words coming out and he's looking around at non-existent people. And, he was the most critical of Joe Biden of everybody, wasn't he? And, he's miles worse than Joe Biden ever was. I mean, at least when Joe Biden spoke, it was slowly, but you knew what he was talking about and he was intelligent.
Yeah.
With Trump, it's just shooting off kind of random stuff all over the shop. And also he had the Juventus football team in the Oval Office yesterday.
Oh.
Talking about women's football and trying to bait them into talking about trans women. Sorry?
And also talking about Iran.
Yeah.
Wanging on about Iran with them stuff behind them, looking absolutely like what. But apparently they had no choice in going.
No.
They were forced to go there. And they were like, we just want to play football. What are we doing?
We're forced to stand behind this fucking megalomaniacal maniac. But he was trying to bait them into talking about women's football and trans people in sport. He was really trying to goad them to talk, and they wouldn't give him anything, obviously. But he was really going for it. He's a psycho. Absolute psychopath.
Yeah, no, but he's literally the Freddy Krueger of the world.
Yeah, no, he is.
But we just don't. We need to realise that the worst, most dangerous psychopaths come in a fucking expensive suit.
I know. He's becoming more and more detached from reality, and that makes him more dangerous. I think
But in a way, It's his reality that he spent decades being a threatening, maniacal, dangerous bastard that everyone has had to acquiesce to. So his reality is a reality. It just doesn't chime with how the world works or anybody else. And he's also incredibly parasitic and predatory.
Yeah, I agree.
So we've got to start taking psychology more seriously. We should be teaching it in schools. People should be more aware of human patterns of behavior and how destructive they can be when you let them snowball.
Yeah. That's a really fair point. Because you can see the same patterns everywhere, and you can see them. If you can spot the patterns, then you can kind of not stop the behavior, but you can at least try and adapt
you can predict exactly what it is they're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. So Trump, he's, I don't know. There's not much to say about him. I put him in my funny section, but he really isn't. And I just
the
found
American people have got to bring him down.
Yeah,
that's it.
There needs to be some impeachment proceedings begun rapidly, really, for Trump. Because I think I said to you the other day when we were chatting, we can't cope with this for another 4 years. This unpredictability is, I mean, apart from the kind of, are we going to go to war or are we not going to go to war? Globally, what he does affects the economy in every single country in the world, nearly, apart from China and Russia. So we're all going to suffer we're all starting to suffer already. You see it with the Bank of England here and the inflation going up around the world. I mean, it's him that's doing it because he's just making snap decisions all over the shop.
It's no different to what you were telling me earlier about the cosplay cleric and the people we've spoken to who have been in the same room as these right-wing grifters. And like you said, the minute the lights go on, they turn from being a normal, regular person having a chat to this persona that doesn't really exist because it is a game to them.
Yeah,
they are secure and cosseted, and nothing bad, by and large, will ever happen to them.
No, of course not.
On a regular day-to-day basis. So they just don't have to give a shit.
Yeah, true.
And it's a fucking personality disorder that is damaging to everybody else.
Yeah, that's it. It's the ripples and the knock-on effect that we hit, that have hit us. Sorry, that really do the damage. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see with Trump. They can't continue. Shall we talk about our pet subject, reform? Because
well, but in fairness, if you're watching or listening to this and you're like, oh God, not reform again, stay tuned because it's not just about reform.
Correct.
And they might have sent us on a little journey that might prove beneficial to the greater good.
Absolutely right. Yeah. Hopefully,
Sorry, crack on.
Yeah. I've been quite busy this week, or at the beginning of the week I was, looking into DOGE and Zaya Yusuf's claims. If you don't know, you probably do, but if you don't, he was the chairman of Reform 2025/UK/party/limited, whatever.
After paying them £200,000.
Yes, after giving them a lot of money. Then he was sacked/left as chairman because he called one of their MPs dumb, and then was reinstated 48 hours later as the head of their DOGE, inverted commas, whatever it means, Department of Government Efficiency, which they've nicked off of Elon Musk. So he's been visiting lots of councils and making lots of claims about DOGE are going to go into every council that they're part of and find millions in waste. And that set some alarm bells off. I think we talked about it last week, but this week I thought I'd do some proper investigations. So I wrote to the Information Commissioner's office and asked them if it was legal what they were doing. And they wrote back to me and they gave me a case number and they said, we're not going to answer that question just yet, but approach each council individually, submit freedom of information requests, to each council with your questions. And if you're not happy with the answer you get back, come back to us. You've got a case number now, and we'll discuss it further. So that was
Sounds
quite
like
nice.
open transparency. Ooh.
Yeah, straight. It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I've got my phone as well.
I know. There you go. So I did what they suggested. I wrote one freedom of information request and sent it to 4 different councils. Sent it to Durham, Staffordshire, West Northamptonshire, and I should have and another one which I'll find out. I'll put links to all this because it's interesting.
A lot of legwork, bless you.
And I've had one response back so far, but I mean, they're obliged to reply within 2 weeks. They've all acknowledged my request, and so they should come back to me quite quickly now. But Durham replied to me yesterday, which was nice of them. And their response to me was, we've searched all our paper and electronic records, and we have no arrangement with Reform UK or DOGE at all. There's been no arrangements made. There's nothing. So Zaya Youssef, yeah, isn't it? So Zaya Youssef has made all these claims that Reform, because they have some people on the council, think they're able to then go in and strip out people's data, and I don't know, whatever all these claims.
It's almost like they don't know how things work.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's okay. They should run the country.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is supposedly the next people that were going to be in government, but no, they're completely inept, aren't they? They don't know anything about anything, and
they don't know what they don't know. That's the problem. They're so myopic and closed-minded and undereducated in the things they need to understand that they just don't know what they don't know.
Exactly right.
They know everything.
Yeah, they've gone in all guns blazing and basically machine gunned everything without realizing what they've actually been machine gunning, and now they've got nothing. So effectively, Durham Council have confirmed to me that Zaya Youssef, everything that he's putting out is a load of cobblers. So I'll put that on Twitter. You can, and then link to it below, and I'll obviously follow it up with the rest of the replies. And I saw yesterday that he'd put a tweet out how he was pissed off, shall we say, with Kent County Council stonewalling them and not allowing them access to data. Well, as it turns out, that's because you're not allowed. It's illegal. So everything they are doing, all this stuff that they're putting out constantly about DOGE, is pretty much fallen to pieces within a week. The very excellent Bear put a tweet out this morning, which I'll put again a link to in the bottom, which responded in very precise detail to what Zaya Youssef said yesterday about Kent County Council. So I'll add that down in the notes because it's worth.
Apart, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely ripped it to shreds, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to these sorts of things, without a doubt, and so it's well worth a read.
Yeah, very clever.
Yeah, so basically, in essence, DOGE has fallen to pieces in a week. Everything they put out has been between us, Reform UK Exposed, and the Bear on Twitter. The three of us, as a group, have exposed them for the frauds that they are, and we will continue to do so over and over and over again because it's important.
It's the frustrating thing, like we were talking about the other day, is that I think we were both quite taken aback by how easy it's been.
Yeah.
To find out what they're doing. And the very fact that the Bear and you have gone and done it, and no mainstream journalist has, is very concerning. Very concerned. Well, I mean, we kind of know, don't we? But we don't know. We just need to prove.
Yeah, exactly.
With documents and stuff and communications, what they're doing. But we know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's all.
I mean,
go on.
It just blows my mind that they're getting away with it, and that the mainstream media are absolutely complicit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. It's what we were saying last night when we were chatting about it, and it's either the mainstream media know and won't report, or they're so inept that they haven't done the very basics that I've done this week and send off a few freedom of information requests, which took me an hour on Monday morning. So
but the acid test is going to be whether any of them pick up what you and Bear have found out.
Yeah.
And I've got a hunch it's going to be absolute tumbleweed because they already fucking know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Exactly. So we're going to start spreading that. When I get all of the freedom of information requests back, I will then get it out to as many media people that I can. I've had some very kind offers of contacts within the media this week from friends on Twitter. So thank you for that. I will be calling on you if you don't mind to sort of help me out getting this out to as many people as we can, because it's important. And as you've just said, if they don't respond, then we know there's proof there, isn't there, that they don't want to respond. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it should be breaking news on the front page.
Yeah.
In the olden days, that's what would have happened. Oh my God, scandal. Except scandals have been normalised, and apparently they're all fine now. So.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, so that kind of brings us into a little bit about what we were talking about last night. Do you want to? Should we talk about that now? Are we doing
a soft announcement?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like a soft rollout.
Yeah, well, Don and I, as anyone who's been watching us will know, we're quite fastidious about truth and honesty and openness and transparency, and how the mess we're in is as a direct consequence of the culture war drowning all the good things that we used to have as values. Retro stuff like, honesty, integrity, openness, transparency, morality. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Right.
Yeah.
So because of what we've discovered through what Reform are being able to do, we've also discovered that it's not very difficult to disprove it. So we want to launch a campaign to restructure the laws around MSM. Basically, we need to force journalism back and get rid of the cash for consistory industry of being paid to say whatever is required. Client journalism needs to be criminalised. It just needs to go in the bin, because it's just the same as, it's like lobbying, but it's fine. Except it's not, because it's destroying everything and it's making people nuts.
Yes.
In all the ways, depending on where your seat is at the table, it's going to affect your mental health, just in varying parameters. So we're going to see if we can get another team of people together and take it to them. And the more people we can get to join up with us and to follow us and share us and like us and, what have you, the more chance and the quicker we're going to return truth to the table.
Yes.
Because this atmosphere of insanity we're living in, the trajectory is a dangerous, dangerous angle.
Yeah.
So we need to just pull the horses back and go, right, let's start again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And it feels like that's a big challenge, but we're both up for it. And I think we've got an opportunity right now, at the time we're in right now, to start something and make a difference. And between you, Sal, and I, we've got a lot of contacts through social media, in actual media circles as well. So what we're going to do... some government contact. So what we're going to do is start out. I'm almost finished putting our website together, and that's going to be our sort of campaign base, as it were. It'll have an interest, a sign up, sort of register your interest form on there. Pardon me. Which if you are interested, that it is just going to be your email address and your name, and we'll just send you out updates. It's nothing, and we won't ever share your data, be rest assured of that. And I'm going to put together a community group on Twitter as well, and I think that'll be the start of where most of us will congregate and chat. It'll be a private group on Twitter, so there won't be any trolls allowed. We'll be able to talk freely and openly, and and maybe put some ideas together and strategize a bit, because this is a big fight and it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. But I think between us, Sal and I, plus our various people and friends that we know, I think we've got a good chance of doing something really, really important.
I do. Absolutely. And the other thing, while we're talking about it, I'd just like to put a call out for as most people will know, I'm not technologically gifted. And whilst Don is, I do think he's got his limits. But we need people to join us who understand how the bot thing works, because they're one of the biggest problems we've got. Those bots subvert democracy.
Yeah.
As much of a sort of a day-to-day bit of a joke as they might be to some of us, they are dangerous as anything.
Yeah.
And we need to find out who the hell is behind them, who's deploying them, who's paying for it. And I think that will fill a massive hole of this jigsaw of insanity.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody who's over that and knows how all that works, please, can you give us a shout? Because we need to
please.
learn.
Yeah, exactly that. So, you know, if anyone's involved in any ethical hacking groups that could just offer us advice, we're not asking for anything dodgy or weird, just a bit of advice or a bit of a lead. You know, we're just putting the feelers out right now. So yeah, anything like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I've got my cough back again.
We've got a whole 4 years, so
yeah,
I think we're with the champ.
I think that's it. I think we've come in at the right time, fortuitously met each other and got this thing going, and now I think we've got this idea that we can do something genuinely for the good. You know, this isn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing in it for us apart from we want to help.
Oh, just a nicer society full of less stressed people with things that work. I mean,
exactly.
Is it a big ask?
No, it shouldn't be, should it? I think it might be, but it shouldn't be.
It's insane.
So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we just want to return the world back to like normal speed, really.
Yeah.
Or actually, do you know what? I've got to stop saying that because I don't want to go back. We need to move forward. Because when even going back when things were normal, there was still like paedophile cover-ups and.
Oh yeah, of course.
Still, nobody gave a shit about grape or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
so we need to evolve instead of devolve, which is what we are doing and have been doing for about 20 years.
Yeah, but just in a more positive manner and more accountable manner, I think, as well for the press and the media and social media somehow.
Like going back to reform, I've been asked to write an article about my local candidates. And we can knock them down like pins. I was given a spreadsheet of people and their sort of basic infractions.
Yeah.
And because I'm a bit wizzy and I like to try and do my due diligence, I made the mistake of Googling them as well. I could write an article about each person. They are just all terrible people.
Yeah.
Mostly with a hugely racist theme.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's one woman, right, who's a self-entitled TERF. Mandy Clare, her name is. She's councillor for Chester and West Cheshire or something. But she was standing in Winsford, which is Warrington, so it's a bit confusing. But
okay,
she stood for Labour, the Socialist Labour Party, the Party of Women, Winsford Salt of the Earth Party, as an independent, and to reform. So she's going to be very principled.
Wow, it's like Lee Anderson of local government.
And that's before you invoke her mad racism. So, you know.
Yeah, strange
they're
that.
Just all terrible.
Just leap from one bandwagon to the next.
On the upside, I mean, Reform do seem to be kicking the terrible people out pretty PDQ. But they're not. The trouble is, they're not going to get anyone to fill those holes because they're the only type of people that want to do it.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Maybe we should make local governments attractive to intelligent people somehow.
Yeah, we said that before, didn't we? It was really that would be a nice thing to do. Oh, yeah, we said that after your meeting with your MP. But I wrote something about that the other day that I think there's a crack in the far right to be exploited. Let's say the far right. Let's say reform. That it came to me with Zaya Yusuf and him being kicked out and blah blah blah, and there's just there's a little gap there that is widening already between the really racist lot and the kind of middle of the road far right Farage lot. And
which UKIP again, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So you got the UKIP band are really pulling a lot of focus away from reform now, because they're really ramping up this Nick Tanconi guy we've talked about before. So,
God, he's such a whopper.
That was polite. yeah, that's a mild way of putting it. Yeah.
Just when he went to Cali the other week,
I know.
and like him and his boys went in the car to shout at immigrants. Like, what?
I know.
What is wrong with your brain that you think, as an adult middle-aged man, this is in any way a useful or appropriate action? What's the end game, you fucking twat?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's something we if you're online and you notice the far right, the really nasty ones, there's a wedge to be driven, I reckon, between them and Farage, and I think that's a split electorally that can be exploited with them. So it's something to think about if you are online and people are talking about that.
We've got a few administrative. I can't say words. We've got a few administrative. Ooh.
Take a run up.
We've got a few administrative. What's going on with my brain?
It's really hot.
Administrative.
Nope. Admin?
Can you say the word for me, please?
Administrative. Just made it. Yeah.
It must be the heat. You can't say that word on a warm day.
No, it's too hot. You can't say it's too hot.
We've got a lot of letters to write, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's better. That's easy.
We've got to go through the motions of writing to people and getting back a brick wall of an answer. And once we've dotted all them I's and crossed them T's, then we can have fun with it. Yes. Then I can start strategizing with my ideas.
Yeah,
it's a bit boring, bit out of it. I mean, right to CMS and Ofcom and Nandy. Oh, now Nandy's out today and piling on the bloody benefit kit cuts bill. How about you stick to your remit, love?
Yeah, she's the invisible woman, Lisa Nandy. But
until it comes to killing people, then she's all in.
Yeah, I know. I just saw it's popped up. They voted to back assisted dying bill. So.
Oh.
Let me just check. I think that's what it just said. MPs pass historic assisted dying bill. Yeah. So that's gone to the Lords for approval.
I know we're going to talk about it next week, but all I'm going to say is that nothing about this bill is really about people who are suffering and dying. What it's about is mitigating the evil bastards that are near to them at the end of their life who are grasping after their money. That's what we're legislating against, and it makes me sick because they haven't. It's absolutely, it's like a pair of fishnet tights, that bill. I could, if I was on a down bit, I could go and have my life ended because I've got a catalogue of everything's. Now, I am pro-assisted dying, and like I've said before, I've looked into it for myself when I've been on a really, really long bad flare-up again. But what they've done is it's not just for terminally ill people as it was supposed to be. They've opened it up now, and I haven't read. We'll talk about it next week, the specifics. But how about you make life easier for people that are living and suffering, and then they wouldn't want to go and end their lives because their lives would be livable. It's like I said earlier, it's exactly the same. Well, it's the same argument as the abortion bill.
Yeah.
Don't kill people, don't kill babies. Okay, are you going to look after them while they're here? Well, no. So what do you fucking want? Pick a lane.
I know.
It's appalling. But yeah, we'll talk about that with Carol next week.
Yeah, we will. We'll go into that in a lot more detail.
Actually, this brings me have we finished talking about reform? And
yeah, for now, I think. Yep.
Because I have lost my thought now. That was it. Yes, I've got a new theory, which is helping me live quite calmly at the minute. And I'd like to share that. I discovered this week that we can't legally do anything against the government and their disability bill until it's become law. So it can only be challenged once they voted it through. So, like the assisted dying bill, actually, no, sorry, that's incorrect of me. But on both occasions, on both bills, they can be challenged in court after they've been voted through, like that can now. And it is so ill thought through, I don't think for a second it'll pass. But with the benefit cuts bill, I think, having looked sort of through history and seen the dynamics at play now, I don't think they think for a second it'll get through a legal process. I think it's performative cruelty to appeal to the right.
Do you think?
But the
really?
Yeah. I've been reassured by people who are in the same field of law that the bill is so ill thought through. They haven't even got the consultations back because they've had the vote before that's come back, which is another reason I think, well, how can they? They must know that that's massively illegal and insane.
Yeah, maybe,
it just doesn't make sense. But they're going to put us through the arduous process of having to challenge it in court and having to go through all that. No court in the land is going to say it's acceptable that somebody lives on $4,500 a year.
No, of course not. No,
it's a human rights equalities issue.
Yeah,
and
without a doubt.
They're already breaking the Equalities Act already. It got me thinking. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, what do you think the process is? That they'll vote it through, pass it, and then fully accept it to be legally struck off?
Well, I do, and this is a percolating thought at the minute, so don't lend any weight to it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
In this theory I've got, they're going to put us through the courts like Ellen Clifford had to with the last green paper that they did, which got thrown out. And then what they might do, and I don't know, it's just a theory, what they might then do is go, oh, the right wing, look what the ECHR made us do.
Really? God.
I don't know, but that is, if I'm right, and if that's what happens, it'll be the ECHR that stops it, probably, if our courts pass it. And then it's going to be the same as with the immigrant laws.
Yeah.
Oh, the ECHR have tied our hands, right wing. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And as with Brexit, I would say to anybody, would you trust these bastards with your future?
Well, no, of course not.
Wouldn't.
So then, I suppose then that's a dilemma for people on the right and the far right who want to leave the ECHR, because then it might be laying a trap for them perhaps, and because they can't then just say, oh, well, let's leave the ECHR and allow this bill to go through. Yeah, interesting.
Well, no. Sorry, I must have misinterpreted. What I mean is,
I've misunderstood.
They're going to use it to try and strengthen the case to leave the ECHR.
Oh, I see.
The ECHR wouldn't let us cut the benefits so that we could save money for our country.
Yeah. So you think the government are going to want to leave the ECHR?
Well, what direction are Labour facing?
Well, no, I know. Yeah, it's not a good direction.
Like I say, it's borderline conspiracy, but given the atmosphere and the things we're living through at the minute, it's all 20 years ago. Well, less. I was told I was fucking nuts for everything I talk about, and here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and I do this merely because prevention is better than cure. If you can get ahead of something, it's better than having to deal with a massive problem at the time.
True.
But
it's interesting.
I don't know. Like I am merely speculating, but this is what I do.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
There seems to be no other reason for it other than performative cruelty and sending The amount of people that have literally ended their lives just because all this is going on and they can't handle stress and living in fear anymore. It's sick.
I know. It is.
It's the work of psychopaths.
I can't remember who post it was yesterday. Maybe you reposted it or Dr. J Watts did or someone. And it just basically said that there's 10 people in the country you could tax 1% and it would wipe this out.
It was Zoe Gardner.
Was it Zoe Gardner? Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I think it was. I reposted it.
Tax these 10 guys 1% and then this goes away. I mean,
money that they will never miss. It will have absolutely no effect on their lives whatsoever.
Of course not. It
They're
wouldn't touch
just
them.
greedy psychopaths.
Yeah, I know.
There is no job in the land that should enable you to acquire the amount of money they've got. And the irony is, all the people that are hoarding all this wealth, they're technically economically fucking inactive. Because everything they earn is through bloody investments.
Yeah.
You couldn't. The irony. And they're calling everybody else work shy.
Yeah.
Get in the bin.
Yeah, they're just sat on their arse counting watching the numbers go up on their bank apps. Yeah. I know.
You've got to stop it. It's an absolute lunacy.
I know. It's just such a sad state of affairs that we talked about it before, and it's a disappointment of like a year down the line of having had a bit of hope this time last year, and it was this time last year, wasn't it?
As the saying goes, it's the hope that kills you.
Yeah, exactly. We were ramping up to it, and everyone was getting really excited, and we were genuinely hopeful because not even so much for the fact that it was going to be this amazing Labour government. It wasn't going to be the fucking Tories, and that was it. But then here we are a year later, and are we in a better place? On one or two things, yes, but overall, I would say no, not at all. And then these
not one
shocking,
journalist. Sorry.
No, it's just these shocking decisions they're making with economically.
Feeding into what we're going to try and do. Not one mainstream journalist challenges Starmer on the fact that what the Tories wanted to do, he called inhumane. He's going further and faster than they were even planning to, and that's fine. And nobody's challenging him on it, so it's all okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
Except it fucking isn't. Why? Why does the whole of MSM and the government despise disabled people so much? That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
And the lies they're telling about we're going to help people back into work. Andrew Fisher, who used to be a Labour strategist, I think he's an economist, said on Paul Joe last week, they want to get disabled people back into work. There's no jobs for people who aren't fucking disabled. So where are they going to put them? Where are we going?
No, I don't know.
We're going to be stuck at home with with not enough money to live on, in absolute distress. It's just all you're going to do is shoot suicide figures through the roof.
Yeah. Well, that's as you said before, that's already going to start happening now.
And it's all money that goes straight back into the sodden economy anyway, and 20% gets taken straight back off in VAT. It's psychotic. It's absolute. And every MP who's standing and supporting it and lying to people's faces are either incredibly stupid or parasitic murderers.
Yeah, neither a good option, but yeah.
No.
We were both highlighted to something this morning. Was it? Yeah, from one of our Twitter colleagues who's quite active in this field, and they were saying about there's going to be an amendment tabled by Jeremy Corbyn's led Independent Alliance to the bill, and it's arguing that the bill lacks fairness and compassion and wasn't developed with disabled people or carers, and fails to ensure dignity and security for welfare recipients. The amendment cites the bill's potential to push 250,000 people, including 50,000 children, into poverty.
Into further poverty. Because they're already it's not you. Nobody else is talking about the fact that all these people are already in poverty.
Yeah, you're right. So there's something there from Corbyn and his kind of merry band of independents, and he's
a good egg, bless him.
You met him a couple of weeks ago, didn't you? And
I'm pushing it to say I met him, if I'm honest.
Well,
he just happened in front of me while somebody else was taking a photo, and I thought, I felt like a criminal. I hate asking anybody. I haven't even got a photo with Tam because I hate asking people for photographs. I just feel like it's a bit, I've met you. I know I've met you. I don't need the whole world to, But it was Jeremy Corbyn, and I just thought,
yeah, you sent
sorry.
me a
And I
photo.
actually said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel like a criminal. And he was like, no, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I saw that was it last Saturday or something? You sent me that.
Oh, he was so lovely. Yeah, it was pure like serendipity because he shot straight off after he did his speech. So
yeah, no,
it was
lucky.
very good. I talked a lot about the disability bill.
Yeah,
which was nice, refreshing. Because nobody else did.
The thing with Corbyn is he genuinely does care about people. He does. Without a shadow of a doubt, whether you like his policies or you don't like his policies, or he's too socialist, not whatever, he's a genuine caring person, and that comes across in everything
he's always got the same face, hasn't
he? Yeah, but just when you hear him speak, he cares about people. That's his job in politics, is to look after other people, and that's what he tries to do. So yeah, good on him for at least putting this amendment forward, and whether it gets pushed, whether it gets selected, who fucking knows? But let's hope it does. But I mean, the government in such a strong position, it's nothing like that's going to really stop it, I don't think, at the moment. But hopefully, like you say, maybe the court challenges are where it will fall down. But everything has to be crossed for that. Everything crossed.
But again, nobody will answer my question. Nobody, and I've reached out to a lot of people. Why is nobody invoking the fact that the UN have been involved for 14 years and have proven that you're breaking international humanitarian law on poverty and disability? Why is nobody talking about this at all?
Yeah,
I know the UN have no teeth, but the very fact that they've been doing this points to the fact that the government are eugenicists.
Yeah. And it's been going on for years. And it's getting worse with this. If that's the problem, it's getting worse. They're making it actively worse now, aren't they? Which is just madness, and it can't be allowed to stop. So let's see. Hopefully, thanks for letting us know about that. I've forgotten. I've lost my post because I want to give them a shout. It was at r_fuck_it, which is brilliant username.
Oh, yes. Definitely one of our friends.
So yeah, also an active disability activist and campaigner. So yeah, worth a follow on Twitter. But yeah, shall we leave that for now? Again, it's just good. We'll come back to it every single week, and we'll talk about it as much as we possibly can.
Well, till the ECHR kick it out.
Well, yeah.
I hope. Well, I mean, that's the most sense I can make out of any of it, and I've done a lot of thinking about it. And to anybody watching who's in the same boat as me, under the threat of cuts, this theory not only holds water right now, but it enables us to go, right, okay, so let's just sit down, take a breath. In the here and now, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, nothing's going to change. Next week, nothing's going to change. But once it's voted through, that's when the solicitors can get busy. And we just have to sit and breathe and try and manage our health while all that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely right.
The best advice I can give to anybody. Getting stressed about it and worrying and being in despair is counterproductive to our health, as we all know. It's just really hard when you're in that headspace of everything's terrible and there's no hope for the future. But there is hope for the future. We just haven't created it yet. We are doing that now.
Yes, well said. Yeah, good one. Definitely. Right. I'm aware of the time. What have I got? I've got 10 minutes. I've only got 10 mins left. What have you got? I've got a couple of things. Well, actually, I've got the media and Crusade, but we've done that. The only other thing I was going to talk about this week, I had a visitor to my Twitter timeline. Some might know him as Stephen Yaxley Lemon, whatever. Most people know him as Tommy Robinson. But he replied to a post of mine. Yeah, he replied to a post, which is highly unusual, about, I just corrected
was he in
him on,
Barbados or something?
I corrected him on the fact that he said he went to jail for making a video, and I just said, no, he didn't. He just went to jail for pleading guilty to 10 counts of contempt of court. But anyway, he didn't like it, and I must have.
But don't let facts get in the way.
Yeah, I know. And so, yeah, he jumped in my replies and posted a picture of me, surprisingly, which was quite interesting.
The natural response.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know what he thought he was doing. Investigative journalism. It's like, oh, this is you, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, that's me. It's my profile picture that you've just copied and then put back in my replies. So that set off a bit of a trend this week, and I have been literally bombarded with absolute crazy trolls from Tommy Robinson fanboys, and a lot of them doing the same thing, just posting my own profile picture underneath their, like, it's my picture, I put it there, I'm fully aware of my picture, but I mean, they think
engagement farming you.
Well, I don't know, they just think they're just abusive idiots. I mean, I wrote a post that said it doesn't bother me. You know, you can post my picture as much as you want, and if you want signed copies, drop an email to the pod. You know,
like what's to be achieved? What's the end game there?
Don't know.
What, in fact, is the point you're trying to make, you lying grifter?
Yeah, exactly. And so I just wanted to highlight one thread on before we go about this, because it's a weird one, and it doesn't. A guy called Gordon Newell, at Gordon Newell 6, if you want to find him, wrote underneath my post something. He said, "Be fair, you're in desperate need of a makeover." Okay, I said, thanks for the fashion tips. Could you please, by the way of a selfie, demonstrate your own sartorial style so I could, copy from? He said no. It's like, okay. I said, what? Because his profile picture is, let's see, Gordon Newell. Your picture is a grizzly bear. It's a grizzly bear.
AI.
It's just a picture of a grizzly bear lying down. And so he said no. And I said, well, don't take this the wrong way, but piss off and stop being a rubbish troll. Then he said, since when did you have the right to demand my photograph? That seems a bit creepy and doxy. He said,
the projection's heavy. It always is with them.
I was like, okay. I said, no, I didn't demand your photograph. I just said I was curious as to your incredible fashion sense that allows you to come here and criticize other people. Fair request. He said, no, what makes my request fair and yours not is the state of you in your profile picture. I won't repost it because it gives you... But this is the best one. He said, I won't repost it because it gives you the opportunity to change it. It's like my profile picture. Okay. I said, right, fine.
That's cast iron logic if ever I've seen it.
Yeah. And then, and this is the best bit, Gordon Newell tagged Grok into the thread. He says, at Grok, using the metric for objective beauty standards, how good looking is this man? It's like, right, this is getting a bit weird now. And obviously Grok said, I'm not getting involved, basically. He said, that's not my job. I'm not going to judge people. When, it's an AI. They don't judge anyone on any characteristics personal.
So I guarantee that person's never even heard of an ad hominem attack in his life.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to just bring that up because this is the sort of level I've been getting since Tommy Robinson jumped on me the other day.
All it is morons with turkey teeth and a Turkish fade. No offense to Turkey, like, love the country, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who
think that everybody thinks like them, and all they bothered about is their appearance and what they look like.
Yeah,
because they've got no substance.
Exactly.
And they're just projecting that. It's pathetic.
Yeah. So it's just a strange one. It's a new sort of fad that seems to be kicking off online. And I've had lots of people, like, really loads of supportive tweets about it because they've noticed I've been getting attacked a lot this week. And I really appreciate...
You are beautiful inside and out, Don.
I don't care what I look like.
No one tell you any different.
Thank you. But I just... so many people have said the same thing, that they're now getting this thrown back in their face. They're just going like these like abusive personal attacks. And
But
it doesn't bother.
What? Listen, you're upsetting the right people.
Yeah,
that's what you need to remember.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it. I mean, it just doesn't bother me. And I'm 50 years old.
That's brilliant. When you're Teflon, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I've been through that. I'm not a kid anymore. I don't get upset by what people say, And,
but they're stuck in Arrested Development.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. So my favourite one is I get often is that people accuse me of dyeing my hair. And I'm going to... Just for the purpose of these trolls.
But you put those grey bits in yourself?
That's it. That's why I say I dye the white bits in and leave the rest. So I just...
Now, they could accuse me of that, and I'd hold my hands up. I absolutely have my hair dry.
Fair enough. Who cares? It's just, these people think it's affecting me, and it's like an attack line that they can use, and it's just pathetic.
That's because they've previously been upset by people treating them like that.
Yeah.
The victim becomes predator. Oh, well, that's how they hurt me. So if I do that to someone else, that's how I know that.
Yeah. So well, Gordon Newell, I just wanted to give you a mention. So you're now sort of famous on our podcast.
Massive knobhead.
Maybe you can have a think about your grizzly bear photo before you start coming online and attacking other people, because you attacked the wrong person because you found one that doesn't give a monkeys, and it just makes you look like an idiot. So there we go. That was it.
But if you're anonymous, you don't care if you look like an idiot, do you? That's why they do it. It's so
that's it.
Facile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and every single one of them, almost bar none, are anonymous profile pictures. All of them.
Yeah.
So.
And then, oh God, what? Actually, can I just put in a little PSA for everybody, including myself, because I occasionally forget. When we see somebody who's written something that you want to go, please, 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 for the sake of our algorithm, if you like, click on that profile. And if they've got less than like 500 followers and a brand new account, it's a bot.
Yeah.
Just block it and move on, because the more we interact with them, the bigger they get.
Yeah.
So, and like I say, I'm saying it to myself because I often forget, but I see so many people who've like been really upset by something somebody said to them. You click on it and they've got like 3 followers, and their account was set up in December, and you're like, it's a bot farmer.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of them about, and
it's not a real person saying these things.
Yeah, it takes us back to what we said at the beginning. If there's anyone that listens and watches us that doesn't know about this stuff, where these guys are coming from, anything you've got, send it to us. But yeah, absolutely, don't engage with the bots.
Because at the end of the bot story is a hooded man, a la Scooby Doo. I'm telling you, or several. But
6 teenagers in a trench coat.
It's Nigel Farage. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's Elon Musk. Oh, it's Donald Trump. But if we can link them all up, then we'll have a big picture to go, hello.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So yeah, and then
anyway, on that bombshell, haven't you got a kid to go and pick up?
I have, but I've got one last thing I want to say, and then that's all my notes out the way, and it is really funny. I noticed this morning, June the 19th? No, yesterday morning. No, last night, sorry. Oh, God, it's too hot.
At some point
in the last week, a person on Twitter put out a post saying, delighted to have nominated Tommy Robinson for the Pride of Britain Lifetime Achievement Award. And that made me fucking crack up with hysterics. It's in hysterics.
As in the Pride of Britain Awards?
Yeah, the real ones.
Thing they have every year.
Yeah. He's nominated Tom, and he says you have
achievement for criminality, or
he says you have to put in his real name.
To assholery?
You have to put in his real name, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, otherwise it rejects it. It's like, get out.
Oh, at least the one with the criminal record, so that should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. No, it just made me laugh. It's like, come on, people, seriously.
Services to evading tax?
Lifetime Achievement Award. Lifetime achievement.
I mean, if you're going to put it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
My brain's going. I can't say what my brain's thinking. It must remain inside there.
Yeah.
But if it's a lifetime achievement award, I'd begrudge it less. If you catch my drift. If he's reached the zenith, that is, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think I know what you're trying to say. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think maybe we should leave it there. We're getting a bit hot now.
Yeah, we probably should.
Yeah, so thanks as always for listening. And
yeah,
I'm going to put in a clip with Gary as well, so there'll be a bit of extra bit in the middle with us, just be me and Gary chatting when Sal's internet died.
We'll have to get him back on so I can meet him.
Yeah, exactly. So we will definitely get Gary back on. But yeah, as we said before, just join us if you want to get involved in this. We're happy for everyone to join. By this evening, there'll be a community group attached to the No Holds Pod account. So our No Holds Barred Pod account will be the basis for our community group, where we will start talking about our campaign and put more details in as and when we build it up and get them going. So get involved in that. Come and join us on there. Other than that, I'm out, I think.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe. Please.
Like, share, subscribe. All right. Thanks for coming. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, the other thing that I'm quite keen to talk about, and I thought it was really, again, quite prudent, is we've done 40 HOPACs around the UK, and we talk to young people directly about their thoughts and aspirations for the future. And a worrying trend in some of the poorer white communities in the country is 14-year-olds saying they're going to have to vote for reform to stop the votes. Because they're not particularly educated, and they're poor and they're desperate for something, and they're listening to their parents. So we are not in any shape nor form wrong to suspect that there'll be a reform government next time round, and it's scary as hell.
Yeah, that puts the fear of God into me. That does, it really does.
But the thing is, where I see it from, well, it's very difficult. As social commentators, we do not want this Labour Party to fail, but we're having to question them because at the moment that's what they're doing. And that's that's the ridiculous state of affairs for people that have a civil society conscience. Is we are kind of socialists that are. This might not be the most socialist government Labour government's ever been. In fact, it's probably the least socialist ever. But nevertheless, it's a Labour government. What else is there? I like the look of this Zach Polanski guy, but are the Greens going to win the next election? Of course they're not. I'm a massive Ed Davey fan, but Lib Dems are never going to get their shit together.
No.
So we are faced with two options. Tories are finished. They will not win the next election. So it's going to be
gone. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh, hang on. We got Sal coming in. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, that's what we've been talking about for the last few weeks. But it is interesting what you were just saying about, I mean, realistically, can you see a reform government in 4 years?
No, absolutely. Because they have control of the media. And controlling the media as much as, ironically, as much as people like Mr. Musk like us to believe that, media is now driven by social. That's really not the case. The mainstream media is still the mainstream media, and it has huge power. And the mainstream media on the whole in this country is funded by the same people that fund reform. So, and previously have funded the Tories and do still fund the Tories. And they normally hedge their bets as well, because they will throw a bit of money Labour's way. Which is kind of why I think we almost end up with, same people, different suits, different ties, tie colours. But unfortunately, the same outlook. So yeah, I think a reform government next time round is pretty nailed on at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree fully with the media stuff. I mean, that's what Sal and I are kind of behind the scenes, sort of starting to work on a campaign, because the media bias is just outrageous, and there needs to be some sort of accountability somewhere along the line. So we're sort of trying to work ourselves up into doing something with that. But I don't know. We're only a couple of people with a little podcast.
I think I'm known pretty broadly for the work I do around the youth sector as being a disruptor. And sometimes from a disruptor perspective, you have to be prepared to disrupt on a large scale. And so I think maybe the only way we can bring the BBC into line is if everyone that's left-leaning at the same time says they're going to cancel their licence fee. Because the way they've showcased Nigel Farage is just outrageous.
Oh, yeah, it
outrageous.
is. Yeah.
He's a media creation. I mean, let's look at LBC, who gave him his own radio platform along with Katie Hopkins back in 2016. I mean, who the hell was he? He was some guy that was attached to the EU, never turned up for meetings. Apart from when he did, he threw a load of papers around and showboated and then went home. So I mean, by the way, if you're a disruptor, you've got to look to Nigel Farage and say, well, I'm going to tip my hat to you on that one, because nobody's disrupted our political status quo the way he has. But with no policy, with nothing but xenophobic rhetoric and out and out racism. I mean, nothing else, nothing on anything. They can't. I mean, even takes his shoes and socks off, I don't think he can count. So and everyone they're surrounding themselves with is cut from the same cloth. So it's really, really scary that we are possibly, in the next 4 or 5 years, a political party that doesn't have any politics.
Well, yeah, maybe they don't. I mean, that's clear.
Maybe it'll be a good thing. Maybe it'll be a good thing. They don't think the same way as me, but I will tell you one thing, and it brings us on to the subject of Vicky, my very good friend, Vicky Foxcroft. The deep state is real. The bureaucracy in this country has been out of control for a long time. That was one of the craziest things about the whole Brexit argument. Well, we can't allow everything to be run by the bureaucrats in Brussels. My God, the bureaucrats here in the UK, given more power, that was never going to end well. And it hasn't. And the truth is, when we change government, the establishment doesn't change at all. Same status quo, same, heads of department in all the big, government departments.
Yeah, civil servants.
I'm on Keir Starmer's Markham task force, and it's the same people in the Home Office that were in there under Sunak. They've just shuffled it back a little bit. So, people that have been, professionally expert in failure for the last 20 years are still running the same treadmill.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? It's a big problem. The civil service don't change, do they? It's just the faces that we see on television, pretty much. That's the only difference, really. But I think that what we were saying about Farage, I wrote yesterday a big thing about the media, and what worries me more than anything is social media at the moment, because that's like, I compared it to, the gold rush in America. It's the Wild West, and social media is the frontier of misinformation. And that's, as you said, Farage is a disruptor. He's brilliant at it. And what I wrote yesterday was that the far right in general now have taken control of social media because they know they can get away with absolutely anything they want now. It's fair game. Anything they say or do on social media is picked up and boosted millions of times. And that's becoming more of a problem, I think, than, say, the BBC. Obviously, the mainstream establishment broadcast media are at fault as well. But social media is like just a fucking cesspit. It's a horrible place at the moment, as you can see. And I've had a few days of being attacked by Tommy Robinson and his trolls. Doesn't bother me, but it does bother a lot of people. And I can see how they can just bully people out of the space, basically. You know what I mean? It's a rough place, but they've got it right. They know how to do it. The government don't have a clue.
Well, you see, I mean, I have a point of view on this. I mean, I've appeared, much against my own personal better judgment, but I've appeared on Great Britain, the QB News, a couple of times. I know I've got a good few friends that have been involved around TV production, and so Michelle Dewberry, who was I think a runner-up in The Apprentice, she didn't win it. I run the Hope Collective and a lot of my charity work out of a little cafe in Brixton called Doe Bakehouse, and actually my good friend Karina that owns that did win The Apprentice in 2021.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
But I've appeared on Michelle's show a couple of times, and I actually went on there with Kelvin McKenzie, and we met in the green room, and he remembered me from years back, and I launched a project called the Football Hall of Fame with Jeff Hurst as my business partner, and he just bought Talk Sport Radio at the time, and so I went to the studios for a meeting with Jeff, and we met him. And that's about 30 odd years ago now. But Mike Parry was working for me, and then went on to work for him because Mike was my head of public affairs at Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, right.
So it kind of launched his career. I turned up for this meeting, but so we kind of swapped. We swapped a few generalized stories, and then when we went in there, he reverted into Sun editor pose. Albeit a very old kind of Jurassic version of a senator these days, but one, of course, who was very famous or infamous for the Hillsborough headlines. So a very typical Sun editor, I would say. But he literally, he adopted a persona as soon as the cameras rolled with the show, and of course it's recorded live. He just went into this whole, supporting Musk, supporting Trump, and it was a shame because that particular show, it was when Starmer had visited the White House, so they were waiting for that to come online, and it came online while we were shooting the show, so they lost half the show. He asked me a question. He said, what would you do right about now if you were the Prime Minister, and you were dealing with Elon Musk? How would you deal with him? And I said, well, quite frankly, I wouldn't deal with Musk. I'd deal with Trump, and I'd explain that we're closing the American embassy and we're expelling their ambassador on the basis that he's invited Musk into his government, and Musk has gone live calling for the overthrow of our government. That's an act of war in peacetime. So why have we not closed their embassy? Let's not pussyfoot around this. This guy has been actively undermining our government, democratically elected. Expel the embassy staff, close the embassy, and then start talking to them again.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that.
Maybe.
But well, is it that? I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting what you're saying about the presenters on GB News, for example, because Sal and I were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and we wondered if this is just a game face to them, because I think some of them previously, as you've just said, were just kind of normal run-of-the-mill kind of radio, TV presenters or producers or what have you. And then all of a sudden they realised there's quite a lot of money to be made out of this kind of rage baiting that GB News and a lot of other people manage. Sorry, I'll just check what Sal's saying. But yeah, that's really interesting. So I guess it's probably not all of them, but a lot of them are like that. Then they just sort of switch into game mode and turn it on. Sorry,
I think also, Don, we are at risk, and we all need to think about this. Those of us that are towards the left in terms of our thinking, our whether or not it's it comes from the inner socialist. I don't know. I try and be quite detached when it comes to politics. But yeah, I think because I try and think from a decent perspective. My background is all about that. My grandparents immigrated from Ireland and went through a lot of the problems in the 50s and 60s that other immigrants are going through today. So I try and be as level-headed. So I'm not too sure we've done ourselves any favour by labelling everybody who is pro-reform as being far right, because I think that's anything but the case. And that's what we're finding when we go around the country. What tends to happen is, as soon as someone feels like they've been labelled far right, they decide to start acting far right. And it kind of is driving a wedge between people who, quite frankly, are just struggling, because most people who are on the right side of the debate, down this side of the country, are in the same boat when it comes to the cost of living, etc., that people in the north are in. I think we've made a bit of a rick in terms of creating this far right monster that everyone's part of, simply because they don't share our views. Because I'm certainly not far left, and I think most people would be far more centrist and veering towards the left.
Yeah.
But to be far left is to be militant. It's to be Socialist Worker Party.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's to be towards something that we don't agree, and that is actually, I think, more aligned now to the far right. The far right and the far left, there's kind of very little to choose between them.
The old horseshoe, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I don't. Oh yeah, I agree with that. I just think it's the old adage, isn't it? Not everyone in reform is racist, but every racist is in reform, or far right substitute reform for far right in that instance. But I don't know. It's a really difficult one to comprehend, because the rhetoric seems to be getting worse. It seems to be ramping up. Certain people, let's say. So you've got your Patrick Christie's and Adam Brooks on GB News, for example, who are very extreme, I'd say, in their, especially their anti-immigration and Islamophobic views. I mean, you know, they're careful with what they say because they're on telly, but what they say online is quite strong, I'd say, some of the time. I'd put it in the far right category, but I understand what you're saying.